Mass Effect Andromeda has had a rocky few months. During its preview period in the run-up to release, the game came under fire for the unusual nature of some of its models and animations. There's been no shortage of mocking on social media and forums about this, with an endless supply of GIFs to go around, and the press hasn't been much kinder to them either. Forbes, for instance, called the game's facial animations flat out terrible.
Alright, what happened? To who? To whom? And your goddamn father? Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
It does beg the question, why in a huge AAA game like this with a multi-million-dollar budget were some of the characters and animations in particular not given more attention? Over the past week I've gathered insight from BioWare employees who worked on the game. This was admittedly not a subject I had originally intended to cover, but these are acquaintances of mine that I happen to have at BioWare who provided valuable knowledge in the past. You may remember that I revealed a secret quest hidden inside Dragon Age Inquisition by its developers in 2015. And I've also shared info on Shadow Realms, the cancelled ORPG from BioWare Austin. It's likely that in the future more will be uncovered about Andromeda's wider development issues. For now though, I wanted to focus on models and animations. There have already been theories made about how they ended up the way they did, but I wanted to give those who were actually a part of the project the chance to share their thoughts and experiences. One of the most prominent suggestions among those that I spoke to was that the game's character work was subject to an over-reliance upon cyberscan technology. Cyberscans are scans taken digitally of a physical subject, a person or object that can be used as the basis to create a 3D model. I'm admittedly no expert on 3D modeling, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm massively oversimplifying this, but this is how it was explained to me by BioWare's artists. Cyberscans can provide a helpful alternative to having an artist manually sculpt the basis of a model themselves. However, this technology isn't advanced enough to create a high quality game asset on its own. This is especially true when scanning real people. Recreating a human face in a 3D model can be difficult, even when cyberscan tech is employed. Therefore, after a scan of a person is made, there are still various steps that are typically taken after that. Again, the tech is not perfect, the model will still need to be cleaned up and refined by a 3D artist. The steady hand of an artist can really help to give the model some character and bring it to life. This is all about getting into the matters of textures, materials, and animations. In short, cyberscan technology can be a useful tool, but the care and attention of real people, artists and animators cannot be undervalued. In the case of Mass Effect Andromeda, the people at BioWare that I've spoken to say that was one of the mistakes the project's managers made. According to multiple sources at BioWare, the vast majority of work on human characters was outsourced, as opposed to being handled internally at BioWare. One artist who worked on Andromeda told me that the only subjects that were given much attention by BioWare's in-house art team were hard surface assets like environments and ships, as well as select robot and alien characters. After the initial scans for human characters were taken, they were shipped off elsewhere. This was not, the BioWare staff member insisted, the fault of the company's artists. They went on to strongly condemn the singling out of individual employees on the ground level that occurred near the game's launch. Two of the staffers I've spoken to, without even being asked or prompted in any way, adamantly placed the blame on members of BioWare's management, who allegedly outsourced almost all of the work on human characters to external teams associated with Electronic Arts.
Good. I was starting to wonder who was in charge around here.
I haven't yet been able to pin down every team outside of BioWare that absorbed this work, since that information was never shared with those I've been in touch with. Although one EA source tipped me off that EA Bucharest in Romania may have taken on a good amount of it. EA outsourcing to their team in Romania would be nothing new. In the past they've done this with some of their larger franchises such as FIFA. Labour costs in Romania are significantly lower than in the US, meaning their workers are paid a fraction of what their American counterparts are making. On the publisher's behalf, this would make complete sense on a business level. However, I'm definitely not concluding that this was a straightforward story of them exporting labour just so the publisher could save a bit of money. Contrary to that, the artists I've spoken to are convinced that the outsourcing wasn't a business decision first and foremost. They believe that that the members of BioWare's management responsible for the art assets in question simply didn't see the need to have their in-house team oversee them and polish them up. One BioWare artist claimed that they actively went out of their way to offer their services to do additional work on the human character assets and were turned away. The individual in charge of this process, who I've chosen to keep anonymous, allegedly didn't see these assets as high priority enough for the skilled artists of BioWare to spend time on. Instead, their focus was mainly on ships, armor, and other assets, as I've mentioned. One source suggested that they placed too much faith in BioWare's scanning tech, believing the results produced wouldn't need much additional work done on them and could be outsourced. The same BioWare source speculated that the company's reluctance to modify the cyberscans much could in part be due to sensitivities within the company and Electronic Arts at large about creating more realistic looking human characters. The artist described a corporate culture of political correctness inside the company that has bred sensitivities about making characters, especially female ones, unrealistic or too attractive. They want to represent real women and are doing their best not to alienate them. This definitely isn't the first time we've heard about BioWare's attitudes towards political correctness. From the development of Shadow Realms, for instance, we know that they were looking to find ways to make it as inclusive as possible. Whatever the logic behind their decisions, well intentioned or not, the result on launch day was a lineup of characters supposedly built on largely untouched cyberscans that BioWare's own people weren't allowed to refine. Mass Effect Andromeda's outsourcing and other decisions made around its human characters are only one piece of a larger puzzle about its development. It's inevitable that more will emerge on the subject in the years to come. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter, I'm at Dr_Cupcakes. You can back me on Patreon if you want, I'm patreon.com/LiamRobertson, where you can support my work, get all these videos early, and there's other bonus content, like I do an exclusive Patreon podcast called Liam Rambles with some friends. Yeah, so go check that out. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.